Hello and welcome back to Hope Community Services podcast, the Community HOPEcast. I'm your host for today, Jane, and with me today are
Annie and Christina.
Woo! All right. Today, I would like to confront you guys about something.
Please don't. I can't. I don't wanna. I don't
Confrontation. So, okay, yeah. So, topics for today is confrontation, and I think it's not something most people love, but relationships don't always go so smoothly, right? We get misunderstandings, different opinions, other things crop up, and it strains ourselves. And yeah, you don't have to confront the other person, but you also could. Both challenging issues in and of itself. So I get it. It's difficult. But to start with, do you engage in confrontation?
No. Half the time.
Half the time. Okay. You're half the time you are taking a hard no, and I would say I could do confrontation. But like, why do you say no and why do you say like half the time? Or like, what do you think? What is confrontation in your mind?
Scary. I think that, okay, I know that confrontation, it's not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, you're always going to have some issues with people because there's always differences in like how we think and how we perceive stuff. But my issue is like, I feel uncomfortable when I'm like, having a fight or I'm confronting someone because it's like, when I say confront, like I'm going to have to take initiative on it. Right. And then I'm going to have to accept their response, even if I don't like the response or not. It's very like surrounded in like negative feelings for me. But internally, like, it's like I know it's something that I need to do. I just don't like the bad negative feelings because
it's steeped in negativity because it came from something bad to begin with, right?
Yes,
That
like,
you're trying to resolve.
Like a difference. So I don't necessarily think it's like a bad thing. I just like if I don't have to. And I can manage through the problem, or like whoever and me, we can manage through the problem away from it, then I would like to do that. That's in like personal life though. If it's work, then I'm gonna go like full on like, hey, I'm not sure about this. Like if you see like my language about stuff, like I'm taking from like a negative, like not like a negative stance, but like a very like third party stance because some things aren't like sometimes people aren't at fault, right? And I also don't like saying the word you. Because that puts all like fault on a person. I'm like, okay. I'm not so sure. I don't know how I feel about this. That's why like I tend to not want to do stuff. But I know it's like things I have to do. But I could take another route. Let's take the other route.
Not to whom it may concern. I hope this email finds you before I find you. How about you, Christina? You said halvesies.
So yeah, not everyone likes confrontation.
Yeah.
I find that if I really care about the person, I have a harder time confronting them when I have concerns or issues. Except or like for the other half, like if I don't care about that person, I am very confrontational. Like I'm not afraid to speak my mind and tell them how I'm feeling.
Okay, so the thought of if you truly love them, you would tell them to their face like. Bad thoughts, like if you truly cared about them and you were a real homie, you would tell them to their face this is bad.
I think eventually I would because like I care about them and I want them in my life, so it's like I don't want to have I don't want to keep having to change myself or like have to swallow my feelings for this person if I care about them.
Do you have like that kind of scale too in like your personal life?
Yeah, I do. Like if I need to say something and I'm worried about them and I'm going to confront them about it, it's just like, I think my approach is what makes me say no because I don't want to be like, hey, I straight up don't think, I can't do that. I'm like, hey, it's like gentle parenting. Hey, I really don't think that you should do this solely because of this and this.
Gentle parenting.
Gentle parenting. Something I wish I had.
Gentle parenting your friends?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not gentle parenting for yourself? Confronting yourself?
No, I go if it's I'm confronting myself about it, I'm like having a full debate. We are going in full send. It's in the courtroom. We're playing ball.
Okay. So, confronting yourself is also an interesting issue, I suppose. But just with other people first. So situations seriously make you consider confrontation? Like, for real. Maybe you can think of like something that happened recently. I think for me, something that I would seriously consider confronting the person is repeated incidents of the problem. Because then, if you're trying to, step around it, it gets really hard. When every single step you take, you're running into the same thing over and over again, like every other week. Yeah. That's like one thing that I would seriously consider confronting the person.
It's a lot of self-growth to like be able to confront someone, even if it's not like necessarily a bad thing. Like, for example, like I was dealing with a work issue recently, and then I've just been dealing with it for like weeks, and then I keep telling like Alexis, or I'll tell like my friend, and they're like, oh, why don't you just talk to them? And I'm just like, I don't want to like cause anything, because what if it's all in my head, and then I was like, you know what, I really care about this person, and I'm feeling concerned about these issues, I'm gonna talk about it. So then I talked to you about it, and then it was just it was all in my head, it was nothing. And then a different time, like I feel like I'm also very confrontational when it comes to like my friends, in the sense that like I care about my friends, and like if they're being treated badly, I'm not afraid to go and confront the person who is making them feel badly.
Yeah. I also feel that. I remember some of the biggest confrontation incidents for me is me defending somebody else. I don't know what compels me to feel so strongly about confronting people, like in a protective sense, but
I think it's like
justice.
I think it's like instinctual, to like, as in like, I think it like instinctually we have like, like, because we're like women, we have like protective feelings.
Interesting take. Okay.
Justice.
I did not expect that type of justice spoke. What about you, Annie?
Yeah, I think like most recently, like one of my friends is like far away, and then we were kind of having issues on like really balancing like our relationship. So I was like, hey, I don't really like when you do this, and I feel like that just like doesn't like give anything like quality to what we have. So I had to like really confront them and be like, I think we could do better in this aspect. And they're very understanding, but I was a little scared because I was like, I know that, they went far away. They're having like a very rough time. So I shouldn't like be complaining. But it's like, if I want, like a friendship or anything, like a relationship to grow, then like we're going to have to work on it. I'm going to have to let them know. So but it's just like, I think it's hard taking that first step, because it's like, you don't want to come across to being like, I don't like you. I hate everything that you do. But it's also like, I need you to know this because I want better stuff for the future, and I care about you,
Do you see a trend in like the things you want to confront people about? Like, for example, you said a lot of it is inside your head. Some of the things, is that common?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I overthink a lot, and so a lot of times I would rather just isolate myself and not confront this person about how I'm feeling, and then I just like build up over time. But then it's like it doesn't help me, and like I know that it doesn't help me doing that. So it's like I know it's really, really hard for me to go up and like talk to that person, but like ultimately in the end it always ends up working out. And
Okay.
High five, me too.
it's just a lot of,
I
like,
guess it was interesting because when you said that, I was thinking about it. I was like, have I ever been so inside my own head that I don't want to confront people? And no, my confrontation comes from a different place, not me gaslighting myself into like getting out of it.
Where?
No, like how I said I was like protective. Like my confrontation, a lot of it is fueled by that, like feelings of like, feelings of justice, or like feeling wronged or something, not something like, oh, maybe this is the case or maybe this isn't the case. Like those things, I don't run into that as often. I guess because I just say it and ask anyway. Yeah.
I gotta align more like Christina. Be the same person for real. I can't. I be in my head too.
the only thing is like with family, it's a lot harder. It's like I don't want to confront these people. It's like sometimes for friends, if it's like, if I don't feel like that friend is gonna be there for a while, I don't mind confronting them when I have issues. But it's like, if I have issues with my sister or something, that's really hard. I would have to sit on it for like days, you know. My older sister is definitely harder to talk to than like my little sister. My little sister, I'm not afraid to like tell her what's on my mind because
The hierarchy.
yeah, no, for real.
Must be nice.
You have no one under you.
Must be nice.
With Kathy, I don't care what she thinks of me. I mean, I don't care about what Kim thinks, but with her, it's trauma. It's like if I like, oh, I don't like how you do this to me. She'll like attack me in every single angle, and then it will start getting like really personal, and I'm like, okay, never mind, sorry. But then Kathy's really mature in that sense. Like she'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know I was making you feel that way.
Okay. So then, are there certain things when you decide not to confront somebody? Does it get to the point where you just decide not to? Because I'm thinking in my head right now, I'm like, there are some areas of my life where I don't even know if I would call it something I've confronted somebody about if I ignored it. Because sometimes I feel like I just skip the step where I'm like, oh, this could be a confrontation. And I just skip and I'm like, whatever happens, I'm just going to just ignore it.
This is kind of bad for me to say, but I get like hold grudges. So if I don't confront this person and I just let it like pass over, it's like feelings of resentment. Like in my head, it's still lingering. It's still lingering, you know? So it's like I will continue to just let it simmer. Because in my head, I'm like, is it really just me thinking this? Or is it the other person who is not, or like, for example, like, one of my friends treated me really badly, you know, and it's like I wanted to confront them about it like weeks later after I processed it, but then I just had a hard time wanting to confront them, you know. But then I was also thinking like, why should I have to confront them? Shouldn't they want the need to confront me too? Like, did they process
To
it
improve your relationship?
Yeah. Because it's like, why am I the only one wanting to confront the other person? You know, so it's like if they're not thinking about me in the sense to confront me and apologize, you know, or something, I just let it pass over, and then it just ends up feeling like kind of like feelings of resentment, you know.
Okay.
Oh, it's a tricky situation. All of it's tricky.
I straight up just forget about everything. Like, I don't have the capacity to remember everything, so everything just goes swoop. And I'm like, if I don't remember it, then it's not worthy to confront. If it's constantly on my mind, then I'm gonna do that confrontation to make sure, like, because that means that I really care about it. If it's something that they annoy me and I'm like, I don't really like that, like, should I tell them? But then, like 5 minutes later, and I forget about it, I'm like, it's not worth it then, right? Because it's just like I can live with, because it just doesn't bother me that much. I think it's like the severity of like how much of an impact does it have on my relationship with another person, how much it's like worrying me, how much like I'm in my head about it. I think that's how like I really decide, like, should I confront or should I not confront?
Okay.
Yeah, I think my memory is like too good to just forget.
I have poor memory,
It's
man.
so bad. I really hate it.
Okay. I think that I don't have too strict of a pattern. I don't know. I was thinking about the pattern, if there was any. Sometimes when I choose to not confront people, it's either a minor enough issue, like it's not repeated instances, that I'm willing to burn bridges.
Yeah.
But I could say the same thing about being able to confront certain people. Because sometimes when I confront people, I'm ready to burn a bridge.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, because it's like it can go either way, you know. So when I said earlier, like if I don't really care about this person too much and I'm willing to confront them, like whatever happens in the situation, if it ends up burning a bridge, I'm okay with that. You know, that's why I didn't
think
feel
about,
it.
Yanni? Is that
Burning
what
bridges?
also scares you?
I'm scared of burning bridges because like there's always some, like, I always like having the people around in my life, right? Like, you know, humans are social creatures. I'm gonna need people, right? Like I don't wanna, but
Okay.
but if it gets to that point where I have to, then I will. And
Okay.
I've cut off people. I've burned bridges. No contacts and stuff like that. It's not hard. It's just it hurts a little, you know. And I don't really like the feeling of hurt.
You know what I think should be normalized? Friendship breakups.
They're so hard. No.
Sometimes I like confronting them just so that they know what they did was wrong. Because a lot of these people don't think that their actions are wrong, you know. So it's like if no one tells them, then they just keep repeating it to all their other friendships.
That's, I guess, confrontation, and like, I guess in the same vein, like friendship breakups should be more normalized to me, because I guess around me at least, it doesn't feel like people talk about it enough. Trying to nurture those friendships, those relationships. A lot of times people talk about, romantic relationships or something. But I don't hear as much about just platonic friendships and how to maintain that with like communication and resolving your problems together. I think the first time I really heard more about it was like from Annie.
Yeah. I don't even think I like told you like the worst friendship breakup ever. So like it's just like people just drift apart. Everyone just has like very different priorities, and then sometimes like most of them even ended up without even like confrontation. You just grow apart.
True, yeah. Well, distance.
Yeah, distance.
You're living
It's
your
like,
own lives.
Yeah, but like for those that I have confronted, I don't think it, because like I think it's just a perspective point of view. It's like sometimes people don't think they've done wrong. And if you confront them and you tell them like, hey, I don't appreciate like this and this, like I'm telling you this like out of concern because I want you to be a better human, right? Like I feel like, there's always improvements. Like it's constructive criticism, like not in the sense of like confrontation, but like constructive criticism, right? And that's something like I personally like value constructive criticism, because like, okay, I know that I was gonna do an Ice Spice. Like, you think I'm not the fart. I gotta play that song for you guys.
No, I've heard.
Okay. I don't even think
song?
I don't even think I said it right. Yeah,
It's from a song?
yeah, it's the Ice Spice song.
I thought it was just like the newest like phrase.
No, it's an Ice Spice song. Yeah,
The newest phrase with like with melody and production behind it.
you think you're the
No, because I've
You're
never
not the
seen
fart.
it with sound. I've always seen it as a meme, like just words on a picture. Yeah. So I didn't know it was a song.
You doom scroll mute, like with no sound.
Yeah, sometimes.
I think that's an issue. We're gonna talk about this. Kidding. Just kidding.
I'm like hard of hearing,
That's true. Me too.
and so like sometimes I'm like I wonder what it's like just to browse through and see how deaf friendly these videos are. And then it's like, if I missed the point, I missed the point. I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, like, like you like I think I'm not very Ice Spice, right? But some of these friends or past friends, they think they're Ice Spice. I'm like, we are not Ice Spice. We can never be Ice Spice. I'm telling you, we can't be Ice Spice. And they're like, no, I'm Ice Spice. Like, we're not. And then,
Okay. Okay. So in instances of confrontation like that and many others, are there things you do or keep in mind of to make sure that the whole interaction goes well?
for personal relationships, like romantic ones, and I'm like, I still love you, but this is something I have been thinking about and I have an issue with, right? Because like, I'm not arguing against you. I'm just arguing with the fact that, it's like my perception of romantic relationships, like, is us against this, right? We're going to work it out. In terms of like friendships, like similar ways, like, hey, I want to make this a safe space and I just want to convey that I think that this and this and this, right? Family wise, depending on the severity of it, it's like, because I did have a really bad one with my mom and I had to confront her. I was like sobbing, I was screaming, crying, throwing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't throwing up, about to. But I was like, hey, like, I understand where you're coming from. I can understand your point of view, right? I just want you to listen now and hear what I think. I think my priority is making everything a safe space because my first instinct, I'm not attacking you, but growing up in like, an ethnic enclave where language is not so precise or is like not comprehended as well.
Yeah.
And like, it's definitely in immigrant households where you're dealing with generational trauma. I'm like, I'm not attacking you at all. I want to make sure that you know, because this is going to affect my relationship with you. And so I want to really convey, like, this is a safe space. I understand you. I will hear you out. Let me take the stand for now, and I'll listen to your thoughts after. I think the safe space is something that, like, if we ever have to do confrontation, that's a really good point. Because, like, just because I have this one issue doesn't mean I hate you entirely as a person, right? I don't have an issue with your entire existence. I just have this one issue now that we can work with and we can work on improving or work against it.
Yeah. Okay. I do think that it goes back to the root problem in many other human relationships, just communication. And we aren't exactly taught the perfect way to communicate with others, right? Things like active listening, making space for other people. And especially when you talked about like family. Oh, dude.
Screaming, crying, throwing up.
Oh, yeah.
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 Well, what about you, Christina? Any steps to make sure that confrontation goes well? Or you just go in? You go in your evidence and it's like, bah.
Similar to Annie, like I do try to I do try to create a safe space. You know, it's like growing up, I never had safe conversations with any of my family, and so I always felt attacked no matter what, because they would just pile it all on without saying anything else. You know, and like I just dealt with communication like that my entire life. You know, until I met like Alexis, and then Alexis was taught how to communicate very well, and so it was like a breath of fresh air, you know. And it's like even my friendships back home, like my friends back home, don't know how to communicate, and confronting them is like a whole different experience, because like it just feels like anything I just say wrong, like the friendship's gonna disappear, you know. Like it just seems like they're not willing to listen. But here, like I feel like my friendships here are a lot different. I feel like because here I've had a lot of friends who come from similar family culture, you know, and so
okay.
it's like we all have dealt with like you know, like generational trauma and like the trauma of like talking to like your immigrant parents, you know. So it's like I feel like some of my friendships, most of my friendships down here, because we all endured that, we know how to create like a safer space in communicating our feelings and everything. And like, for example, like I had an issue with my friend Justin.
I'm just going to call him out like that.
No, it's a good thing.
She said, here's his name.
I had an issue with him, and I was ready to like simmer and be mad about it for days, you know, because like I'm just so used to that. And then he shoots me a text like a couple hours after it happened with a very lengthy, long apology, and the apology hit like every mark I'm not used to. You know, he said like he acknowledged the issue, he's sorry, and that like he's gonna improve himself in the future so that this issue doesn't happen again. And because that apology was so well written and it came so fast, I just didn't know what to do with my leftover anger.
But I also think this is a very special case. Like I've never seen one of those before.
Yeah, I never either. So when that happened to me, I just didn't know how to not be angry anymore, because I was like, I'm so used to just wallowing my feelings for hours or days or weeks, you know. And so when he did that, I texted him, and I texted back and said, I don't know how to respond because I'm not used to this.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
To that point, then, when you said you kind of think that maybe because down in SoCal, the people you interact with come from a similar background, so then that's why maybe communication is a bit better. Like, do you agree with that, or where did you guys learn your communication, like how to create safe space and, you know, how to actively listen to others?
Social media for sure, because like, you know, that big rise of like mental health. That's also like, I think like I have to like very relate to Christina, like, you know, growing up in a space where I wasn't able to have safe conversations either. You know, I felt like I was getting personally attacked everywhere, and I had to grow and be like, you grow up and you think rationally more about things like, oh, I'm not actually getting like attacked, like that's constructive criticism, like they have good intention, maybe the execution isn't that great. It could definitely be better. But it's like, okay, then the way that I want to be treated, I'm going to do that to other people so that maybe they can learn too, you know, because like growing up, you just get, I'm like, I don't wanna.
But I also feel like for you, that was like a fork in the road. Like you either went that way and you learned, thought rationally and thought, I don't want these qualities anymore, and I'm going to do healthier communication styles, tactics, whatever. Or you could have
went the other way
and kept doing it.
I guess we were just so hurt we decided to do it a different way. Maybe it was just a one road for us, dog.
Do you kind of know where you came from? Or do you think just similarly, like just from your past experiences and not wanting to repeat that?
I think, yeah, just like not wanting to repeat past experiences, you know, but also like, so like I my older sister, my older brother, and my older cousins, like they raised me, you know, and it's like, with every situation that has ever happened, my I didn't feel safe talking to my older siblings, you know. But my older cousin, she always made an effort to go out of her way to see how I was feeling, see how I was doing. And she was always the confrontational one, you know. And it's like, even though she's had way more conversations with me, and I never felt like attacked by her because she always executed in a really healthy way, you know. Like, she was always like, oh, I just want to talk to you about this issue. And she would tell me what I was doing wrong, and that, like, she made me feel safe, you know. But then, like, versus my older sister, when she would confront me, it was just all screaming and yelling, and then, like, I'm wrong, and then that's it. And then there was never, like, resolution after that, you know. And it's like, how do you expect me to, like, feel better about the situation when, like, even, like, weeks, months later, there's no apology, there's no resolution, there's no, like, I'm sorry I made you feel that way, you know.
See, that two ways. Older sister went one way, younger sister went the other way.
I think also, like, my older cousin always saw how my sister treated me, and she didn't feel that it was right of her to always treat me like that.
But I also have to talk about, like, that's the difference between a sister and a cousin. Because with a sister, you're like closer blood ties, but then a cousin, like,
Wait,
you're
you
kind
said
of
your
being
younger
stopped.
sister was also a little bit better, but so cousin and younger sister are good?
So with Kathy, I think because Kathy has seen the way my older sister treats both of us, you know, both of us have endured that trauma of her together, you know, so it's like, we don't want to repeat how she treats us. And so we communicate much better with each other, just because, like, we don't want repeat instances of, like, our relationships with our older siblings, you know. And also, like, having Alexis helps a lot, you know. He has helped me learn better coping mechanisms and, like, better communication skills.
And you were saying cousin versus sister.
Because at least for, like, my family, like, I can't talk to my sister the way I talk to my cousins.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's still that boundary of, like, they're still from a different family, even though we're, like, you know, related. Because, like, it's like a step difference. You know? Because, like, with sister, you're like, okay, you're very within, it's internal. With a cousin, you kind of think of it external. But even, like, no matter how closely you are, there's still that slight little boundary of them being, like, a cousin. So, like, maybe that's also a way, like, you know, another factor that your cousin be like, oh, like, that's wrong that your sister is treating you that way. So I'm going to treat you, like, you know, in a better, more emotionally regulated way.
Yeah.
But, like, there's also, like, I can't treat you, like, you know, like, really badly because you're a cousin. But within family, it's like, you're still related to me. Blah, 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 blah.
Would you say something about how equal people are contributes to how a confrontation might go?
I think in, like, traditional, like, immigrant family settings, yes. Because,
for example, like, you and your younger siblings are not inherently equal in the traditional hierarchy that we have in families, but then your cousins might be more of your equals because of that distance.
Yeah, I do have
immediate family.
Yeah, I have older siblings and I have cousins exactly my age. But I think, like, more of the hierarchy per se is, like, based on age. That's right. Like, I have been compared to relatives, siblings, like, older than me at where they are now, at their current age, right? Rather than them thinking back, like, oh, at, like, my age. Because, like, I don't have, you know, some people have, like, you know, maybe, like, 3 years more experience on me, like 5 years more experience on me, and I get compared to them. Like, that's not unfair. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's, like, kind of, like, an issue of, like, when you talk about confrontation, because, like, they're thinking it's also, like, a perspective based, like, oh, they're thinking based on their standards. I'm going to be thinking on my standards. And that's why people have issues, because their standards are not match. And in terms of, like, being equal, it's like, even then, like, you know, again, like, I have a different background than my cousins that are the same age as me, right? We're going to see things very differently. We're at different stages of life. So, like, in terms of confrontation, like, that does play, like, a big part, because, like, we're not going to see eye to eye solely because of, like, okay, age, experience, life stages. Did I even answer your question? I feel like I just avoided.
I think
That's okay. We tangented it. It's fine.
Yeah, but like in terms of like equal confrontations, it
Like, do you feel like it's easier when you're like
same
kinda
age,
equals?
kind of equals? No, I feel like it's still gonna be hard regardless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's where I was going. Because we have different backgrounds.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
That's how we tied it.
Okay. Okay, so then has your experience with confrontation changed as you've grown up? Because we're in our 20s now, and you're talking about, the realization that when you're confronting people, you don't want to bring all this like negativity into it. You try to make a safe space and everything. Like, you learn certain things in confronting people, right? Do you find that now then you're confronting people less, or has it gotten better? Just the idea of confrontation in your head.
I think definitely gotten, I would say, healthier, right? Like, I'm not, as a kid, like, you don't know what to do, but you scream and stuff. But like now as like an adult, you're more, hopefully more emotionally regulated.
Okay.
And so like, even with confrontations, like, I don't know how to say this, for lack of a better word, it's like, oh, you get it resolved. There's a lot of confrontations that I don't get resolved, or I, am in a position where I'm unable to speak up about my experience and how I see stuff. But even then, I'm like, okay, I'll just take that as it is and just move on, right? I've been learning to just take unresolved confrontations and just move on, because, I cannot change the way that people think. They're just going to think the way that they think and be in their own perspective, right?
Yeah.
I just got to keep moving on. Like, I can't let that hold me back. Back then it did a lot as a child, and that like gave me a lot of struggle. But I'm like, okay, I cannot change people. I am my own thing. I did what I had to do. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to emotionally regulate myself better.
Okay. Well, how would you say you and confrontation are these days?
Definitely a lot better than when I was younger. When I was, I think, although I still deal with this issue today, like I ultimately like don't like confrontation, because it's like I want everyone to like me, So it's like I've come to terms that like if this person doesn't like me after our confrontation, that's fine. I can just let it go. And it took a lot to get there, but ultimately I'm happier with this mindset, So it's like, if this person is upset with them that I confront them about an issue and they want to burn this bridge, then like, that's fine. And I shouldn't hold on to a friendship that like doesn't respect me like that,
All that has to say, do you think you could go through life anymore just without confronting people? Or do you think you can take preventative measures in your relationships with people?
I think confrontation is always something that's always going to be there. Nobody's perfect, and we're bound to run into issues with anybody, So it's like, it's just a matter of how you deal with it and how you want to deal with it, and whether you're willing to accept the outcome of like the confrontation,
I think, I have to agree. It's very inherent into life with the way you experience it, because again, people are not the same person. I think like you just have to, maybe like if you see an issue, just cut it at its root. Just like when you first see it, like, hey, I don't really appreciate that, or I don't do it. Just like, continue to create that safe space. But also like, I feel like when you create safe space, it helps people to learn that, oh, maybe going forward, like they also need to create that safe space, and like they have an example of doing that. Some people, they don't never have that example.
So would you say you're doing small preventative measures though?
I guess. I don't really know. Maybe. I don't like do confrontation, so maybe like, preventative measures. Go public health, preventative measures.
Because I would imagine that if you understand where confrontation comes from, right? Misunderstandings, miscommunication, that kind of thing, and you can implement that as a preventative measure in a sense, in your interactions, trying to, use language that is clear about what your intentions are, that kind of thing. Just in everyday, perhaps you could, reduce the likelihood of things that cause you to eventually come to confrontation.
Yeah, but I also believe like like you can do so much, and then like how well is that other party's comprehension skills? Because that's also one thing I wanted to raise. Like, oh, you can communicate, but are they going to understand you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like you can just try your best. You can just try your best.
That's why, at least in terms of work or school, it can be the easiest area for confrontation or, to clear up misunderstandings. That's why I'm like so thorough in emails. Or it's like this one sentence idea have to do like a whole paragraph explanation. Like this is the full context of what I'm saying to avoid any misunderstandings or anything. But yeah, I guess with personal life, not that simple. Do you have any other thoughts on confrontation? We are afraid of confrontation. I understand. It's
Just make it a safe space. Don't me. Don't.
sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now to confront the audience about following us on our socials, and you can find us at
Give us Hope OC on
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube.
same handles.
Yeah, it's all Give us Hope OC.
Nice.